this week or traveling, and won't be able to be here for another meeting later, so. I assume that means he's out on the
Yes.
On your ARP fund, do you have a report yet?
Connie would know for sure.
We're live,
Yeah,
by
I
the
think
way.
I've seen.
I think
how
that's-
they
I think
real,
that's changed.
Real changed where we could use for regular.
Yeah. I had to ask Connie that.
Yeah, we need to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is,
Yeah, Randy's coming.
is in the bathroom?
Oh, Randy, okay.
I assume that's what it
Yeah, I saw him.
Oh, you have to preside.
Pardon?
You have to preside over the meeting.
I guess I'm waiting on Randy.
All right. No waiting on you, pal.
Okay, the clock on the wall says it's time we begin our solid waste meeting this evening. Gary Morton's my name. I'll be subbing tonight for Greg Jarbo, who is our president, and he is unavailable this evening. So we will begin with our agenda here and call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. So take a look at that, see if there's any additions or deletions from that.
Gary?
Yes.
I had sent Mayor Phil a message, I don't think he got it. I just want to request this.
Can you step up, please, to the mic?
No. I just want to ask if the public comments can be put after the advisory board comments, if possible.
Public comment after
Yes.
the advisory board comment.
If that's okay.
I'm fine with it.
I see no problem with that. Okay.
Just gonna flip-flop in 4 and 6?
I just moved it down there,
All right, just move it down
or
there.
whatever.
Okay. All right, approval of agenda. Everybody had a chance to look at that?
And if there's no other changes to the agenda, I make a motion, we approve it.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Chris. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to item 3. Approval of minutes. Those have been sent out to you. They're attached here. Please look at those and see if you have any corrections or comments concerning those.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
This is my second meeting on the board.
Okay.
Do we get one of these every month from Wes? I mean, is it part of these bylaws that you have to attend every meeting, or you just?
I don't have to be here, I come.
Okay, I mean, I just-
In case you guys have questions.
I mean, I know you're a busy person, I appreciate it, but I didn't know if this wasn't quite necessary, I mean, but, okay.
I normally come, there'll be some throughout the year if I'm not available,
Okay.
I won't make it to, and then the director will just present.
I mean, it's very informative, and I appreciate it, but.
Okay, do we need a motion on the minutes?
I'll make a motion on the minutes.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Randy, a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, now, public comments, you wanted to move that till after the advisory board? Okay. Do we need to change that or make it?
We already did when you.
Okay, we've already did that, okay. Okay, approval of the financial statement, okay. Wes?
So, under budget right now, again, we're one staff down, so you'll see we're under budget across most of the employment side of things. And other than that, no other major items to note.
Okay. Do we need a motion on that?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a motion, we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Randy. Those in favor, please signify. Aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, likewise, okay. Advisory Board,
Advisory board.
okay. And then we'll allow public comment after that, correct? Okay,
Hi.
go right ahead.
The advisory board met on February 7th at 4 p.m. at the Armory Annex. The meeting was called to order at 4:05. There were no members of the public present. In terms of old business, we discussed the subcommittee progress. Cindy reported that the progress of the subcommittee tasked with hiring a director included scheduled interviews, which were conducted initially on 2/8 and again on 2/22. I reported that the data afforded to the subcommittee tasked with studying alternative fee structures was dated. It was back before the previous end of the fiscal year. So I recommended to the subcommittee that we ask you all for updated data pursuant to the number of homes, residences, businesses, so that the advisory board could evaluate an alternative fee structure so that the data that they're working with is current. I'm not sure if you still want to task the advisory board with evaluating alternative fee structures or not. That's something that you all need to decide. This was from the previous board that the advisory board had been working on. New business, we talked about ways that we could recruit new members to the advisory board. Cindy reported that she had solicited members who were vocal about the fee via the social media platform on Facebook and the Perry County Calendar page. There was discussion about the intent of the advisory board, how best to recruit members, and how to target recruitment efforts. And I recommended that we ask the full board to write some guidelines for membership. You know, right now it's just you advise, and that it can be anybody who lives in Perry County. But are there certain skill sets that would be appropriate for members of the advisory board? For instance, my background is in finance, so obviously calculating and tabulating alternative fee structures is a strength that I brought to the advisory board. Cindy is more familiar with the outer parts of the county that aren't in municipalities as much, so she brings that strength to the table. Are there other specific skill sets that would be advantageous to you as the full board that we should try to incorporate into our recruitment efforts to get new members to the advisory board? So we'd like for you to consider what you'd like that to look like and present that to the advisory board so we can write something like a job description of what you're going to be doing. Because I know when I got on, I had no idea what the whole role was, and it's kind of been crazy since then. So that would be very helpful. It would help me be able to tell other people the purpose, the responsibility, and the importance of participating in the advisory board for the full board. Then Chris came and she talked about the interim director's report. There wasn't anything substantial for the advisory board to discuss because she wasn't really necessarily sure what the expectations were of the advisory board either. So the blind was leading the blind. And we're hopeful that the full board can put some meat on the skeleton that everyone has, and we can get some specific direction, because the previous advisory board had a lot more experience than those of us that remain on the board today.
Absolutely.
Any questions? Okay, that's all we have.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public comment?
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Please come up.
I'm coming up as advisory first, and then on to the public.
Okay.
As an advisory board member, I'm submitting my resignation tonight. Well, I think that's all I need to say. I've loved being on it, and I'd love to continue, but which goes to the public comments, which I can't comment as an advisory member, but I can as a public member. I have sent Jeff, as our attorney, some questions that I had that took place over the interview process and the bias that took place during it. And he, not being familiar with it all, has asked me to just present it. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but there was clear bias in that process by certain one. And I think if the whole board, before they vote, would go through those papers, they would clearly see that bias. And I feel very strongly, I don't know any of the three. I am not picking favorites or picking not favorites. That's not my intention. I think one clearly stood out to most of us during the interview. And like I said, there was a clear bias that came into that prior to the first interview Some comments were made before the last interview that put a bias that may have hurt one of them too. So all I'm asking as the public, probably with too much information and without going into a lot of detail, is that the board would consider, all I want is what's best for the district. That's all I've ever wanted. I think there needs to be some restructuring. I think we need it. But I just want what's best for the district going forward. So I'm stepping aside, and I hope you will consider what I've said. Thank you.
Will, any comments, or shall we go on to the next item? Okay, director's report.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Afternoon.
Well, we've been working on getting our bills in, and we have received, out of the 8,250, we've received over 3,000 payments in so far to date. As of the 24th of this month, we've received over $142,785 that we have processed, but there were some that weren't processed yet. So, and also the recycling, our year-to-date is...
Can you talk just a little bit louder for me?
I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Is that better? A little bit better?
Sure.
Okay, do you want me to go back over that?
No, that's fine.
Okay,
Just-
okay. And as of our year-to-date, we're up from last year over $1,900. Prices have gone up, we're getting more product to, and also in that, we just had a load of plastic go out. We haven't received what we're going to get for that yet, because it was...
So income is 1,900 over last year at this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes. And the plastic that went out this month won't be on until next month's report in March. So we'll have that. So Marcia and I have been busy processing payments, and people have been coming in, paying over the phone, a little bit of wide variety. So we'll just keep on calculating the money. And I think that's about it. Anything?
Any questions? Nope. Comments?
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Okay, next on this item would be old business. Is there some old business we need to bring up at this point? Okay. Let's go on down to new business, and the A item there is new hire, I should say, interview results and vote. Three of us, Ralph, Chris, and myself, representing the council. Pardon?
I wasn't on that. The
I
hiring
was.
thing?
Oh, correction.
Yeah,
Randy.
I wasn't. Where was I? I wasn't there.
Correction.
Okay.
Randy, Ralph, and myself
Okay.
represented the board, and then the two members of our advisory committee were there in the interview process. Ralph, you kind of ran the thing a little bit there. You want to make any comments concerning
Sure.
the process?
This is a questionnaire that we basically asked each one of the people, and we made a orientation ahead of time, the way we would ask the questions and who would ask the questions. And each one of them were legitimate questions that everyone agreed with the questions as we went. I'm talking about the committee. So we asked the questions that give everyone an opportunity to answer within a 2-minute time frame on each question. And then from that point on, they had the 30-minute total was a time limit for the total. And they were asked at the end if they needed to ask any questions of us, in which there was. So with that said, we had a point system that we went by, 5 to 1, 5 meaning the highest number on each question that each committee member had put down for their results of each question. Then it totaled up at the end to come up with a total score. And ahead of time, during orientations, we decided that the highest score would be the one we would take back to this board for a recommendation. Any
So-
question?
So the highest scored is the one you're bringing to us tonight?
I have all scores in front of me, but the highest score is what the committee agreed to go ahead and bring back. And then there was a second score, which, I would recommend to this board to use them two scores, basically, without telling what the scores are, recommendations to the top person and then the second top person, in case that first person didn't work out.
I'm sorry, I can't quite see you, so I can't hear you. But I'm totally lost. So and I wasn't part of that process, so forgive me on my ignorance on it, but, so you're bringing to us not the high score person like they were going to do, or is that what you're saying?
We'll bring the high score.
The person that got the highest score by the committee,
Okay.
total committee of 5,
Right?
would be the person that we made a pact that we would bring to the board
Right.
for the recommendation.
Okay. And that's who you're bringing tonight to recommend?
Yes.
Okay, that was my question.
But you're also going to report
I'm
each
also,
second.
yes, I'm also going to report the next person as second for the reasons of, and this was not discussed by the committee, but I would put the second person available in case the first person did not work out, say in a year's time, then that person could possibly be, instead of another interview process, can't work like that?
No, it can't work that way.
Okay,
That person's not gonna hang around and wait a year for a job.
okay.
I'm sorry, Ralph.
So that's all right by me.
But if you want to report
I can
both,
report two.
two, I mean.
The top two is what I would recommend to, for sure, have in the running for a vote. But I would, by the committee, report the recommendation for the top person.
And I understood it that we were bringing you number 1 and number 2 for consideration. That's what I understood.
It's all right.
Okay.
So the first, the one who scored the highest, and the one who scored the second highest would be who the committee would be recommending that you choose from. The person who scored the lowest is the one you will not consider.
I have
Is
that.
our recommendation.
That's fair.
Okay.
And that's how I understood it. I don't know.
That's fine.
That's about right.
That's where I
That's exactly what I took it to. You guys were pretty clear about that.
Well, can I ask who they are?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you ready for that?
I'm ready for a drum roll. Let's do it.
Okay, so, start with, we had one that retracted, which is Michael Durbin, which he refused to go ahead with the interview, so that one was pulled out. So them other 3 were interviewed, and the top person with the highest score ended up being Christine Wheeler, and the second score was Kyle Kale.
Okay. Just so the record's clear, that is a cousin of mine, so I will be abstaining on any vote just for conflicts on that. But I think that's the right thing to do. That's one reason why I wasn't part of any of the interview process. I didn't want anybody saying I had anything to do with it. So in this case, yeah, we're good.
Okay, so what,
And I'm going to also abstain because there's a relationship with Chris. So I'm also abstaining from any discussion or vote.
Are we going to have a quorum to be able to vote?
You got 1, 2, 3. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 4.
okay, what's the next step here? Again, it's done a little differently. What do you recommend to us, and we review it?
I recommend to the board of who would be brought up for a vote.
Then do those of us who were not there during the interview process, are we privileged to look at the questions and the answers?
Yes, you are.
Okay, well then, I would think most we want to review it as well. And then you'll look at your recommendation or whatever, go along with it or.
He's not gonna have the answers, but I would recommend that
Okay.
you review the questions that they were asked along with their resume or application.
Okay.
I think that would be helpful for you, for any hiring committee.
I mean, because as of right now, all I can go on is what they recommend.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Yes.
I think it's fair we get to see the questions and something, and then I say, hey, I agree with you, or no, wait a minute, we backtrack here or something,
Well, those would not be available tonight, would they, Ralph, or not?
We can run a copy.
Run some copies?
Yeah.
And all you want to know are the questions asked
Well, I can know
and how
what,
we rated them?
well, I can know how the process went and who the applicants were. Now, I think all the members here would like to know all that.
There you go. Who else wants a copy of the questions? Take it on.
You need to make copies, what we got copies.
You got it? That's okay, you can have that.
They're the same, Martha, you don't.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just the question. There was additional.
There's two more additionals, and I'll read them off.
I'm going to add 2 questions on the bottom.
Oh,
We also amended 2 of the questions.
Yes.
The question pursuant to insubordination, we phrased it in such a way that we asked for their experience related to dealing with an event with insubordination, as well as the outcome after their engagement. And then the question related to promotion of the district and its services, we asked what they would be using to promote it, what types of things. So we did phrase 2 questions differently than are on that piece of paper.
So what you got there is number 11 would be,
And number 4, the
Yes.
insubordinate. Okay.
and then number 12 would be what motivates you to want this job.
That's the question.
That would be the 2 that would be wrote in. Is that sufficient?
Sure. I'm kind of looking over here real quick.
These questions were Googled
Okay.
for a position of that nature.
I mean, this looks like a standard form or something like off the Google or internet, like general questions asked during interviews, because these questions, I've seen some of them before.
Mhm.
At the end of each interview, too, there was some discussion where they asked us some questions, and we tried to answer anything they might have that, concerning what they think about the position and what their concerns might be, and things like that, how they would deal with various individuals.
So basically, you had 3 applicants and one of them withdrew?
So we had 4 applicants and 3 went through the interview process.
Okay.
I will ask for this back, but I can show you how the points went down through by this one sheet if you'd like to see that. Nobody's name was on the sheets
Okay.
of who voted what, so therefore it was 5 different sheets. The scores were added together by 2 individuals, and then out of the authority of the rest of the committee watching over them, and added the scores up. Is that right?
is it?
I think they need to see the scores, that's my personal opinion, because that clearly shows what I was speaking
How many people are in the office?
Pardon?
How many people are in that office? Christine?
In the office,
of. Me and
2
Marcia,
and the director.
right now it's me and Marcia.
Okay.
There's a director position, Marcia's full-time position, my part-time
So it'd
secretary.
be 2 full, 1 part-time? Or- Okay.
Director, 1 full-time and 1 part-time.
Again, this is all new to me.
It's
Okay.
okay. Does anybody want the resume or the application for the 2 that you got?
I have that. They needed it.
well, I guess right now as a committee, what is our next step then? To,
I'm saying, you don't nominate tonight, it'd be another month.
Okay.
I was going to say, we would need to, in the month of March, fill this position. Is that our goal then?
Who's got a question about the 2? John, do you want to see the resumes for them 2, the 2 top ones?
Who? Paul, you mean?
Paul, I'm sorry.
I'm like,
Call him John, I'm sorry, Paul.
I've been called over.
Yeah.
You want them to call?
You want to take a look at those
I
real
did
quick?
real quick. No, but you're,
Since I'm abstaining, I'm not ignoring stuff, I don't want to say or influence anybody's decision one way or another, so.
So at this point, our goal then will be to choose a director next month. Is that right, guys?
It's kind of up to Paul, if he wants time to review that.
If he wants time to
We
review
said
that,
in the
we can
committee.
call it tonight.
I
Right.
can glance through
We know,
a few minutes and get, if you want to go on something else, but right now, I'm going off your recommendation, simple as that, but.
I think you should review that and take a few moments and so you can understand, because you are a voting part.
Well, I'm a little confused. Do we want to vote tonight at this point, or do we wish to do this in March? I need some guidance here, guys.
I was under the impression that there would be a vote tonight by the full board as per the recommendation of this committee. Now, it's obviously that there's some differences in the committee, the way we did it. But the way I see it is, I had an orientation with the whole committee before we started the interview process. And we all agreed to do this way. The highest score would be one to be recommended.
Chris, you were in the military? For how many years?
Less than a year.
I'm trying to
Okay.
be kind.
Okay.
I really am. I think they need to see the numbers. It's as simple as that. That will tell you what I'm saying. The numbers will clearly state a clear bias
Pass it down.
was
There they are.
presented. No, not those.
That's the
Where we
total.
all voted.
That's the total. I got that too.
No, you don't need the total. That's just giving them a number. The numbers that were, what Jeff suggested was that the committee wait, and like Paul is the only one that's out of the loop of this. I'm not trying to be cantankerous. I don't think there was a total agreement. I tried to bring my forth at the meetings and said that there has to be a different way, that all the scores need brought out and given to the board, because everybody else knows them but Paul. But Gary and Kelly are the only two that literally seen the scores, but they show a clear bias, is what I'm saying. Whoever gets it, gets it. But I think it has to be, everything has to be fair. That's all I'm asking for, is fair.
I'm totally full transparent on whatever anybody wants to look at, including the people that were the applicants.
Can I make a suggestion?
Go ahead.
So if there's a bias and that's a concern, then in theory, if you throw out the lowest score, you don't know who scored what. So if you throw out the lowest score for every single of the 3 candidates, then that would leave you with 4 scores total. That would eliminate one person scoring a 5 and 1s on the other 2 candidates if they clearly wanted one person to win. If that's what the concern is. I'm not saying you need to do that.
Had we-
I've done that before in the interview process that I've been a part of.
1 through 10, but I would, had that would have been the case, that should have been taken care of in the orientation.
I asked, Ralph. I asked that right from the get-go,
You're right.
for that top and
That
bottom. I
mine?
asked that, and I was told no. But I'm out of it, guys. Good luck.
Kelly, do you feel anything like what Cindy's saying? I mean, do you feel that? And I shouldn't put you on the spot like that, and if I do, I apologize. I don't have a vote in this. I'm just hoping to get some consensus to move this along. All right, one way or another. Donna?
I resigned.
Yes, I knew that.
Effective 2/28,
Yeah.
because there was no integrity in the process. When I was called over the phone to schedule the orientation, there was bias told to me over the phone, telling me when to come in and report and what the process was going to be like. I was told who the favorite was.
I hate to put you in the spot. Who said that?
Ralph.
Okay.
Ralph said, and I hired.
I shouldn't have said that, but I'm not, I don't have a dog in this fight, so I don't know why I'm asking questions, but.
I hire people at
There's
work.
3 people.
I hire people at work.
There's two at the top that you want to look at.
And we always try, integrity is the only thing that I have. That's all I have. I don't have anything else. And when I am called over the phone and told that this is the way the process is going to go, and in that call, I'm told that this person is doing a damn good job and that's the way we need to go, it is inferred to me that that's the way that I need to respond in kind. and that my free thinking is not appreciated.
Thank you for sharing that.
And I apologize, I did not intend to put anybody on the spot, nor did I
Well,
intend to
I
say
know,
that.
and I put you in that position. I apologize, Kelly. That's the first time I've ever met you, so in person, I think.
Yes.
I appreciate you sharing that with everyone.
Again, integrity is all I have, and I do not appreciate being told what to think or
I
how to
understand.
respond.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry if I threw a curveball on that one.
Anybody else got a comment?
Anybody got any more comments? Because I've basically did run this thing the best way I knew how, is to answer that question about explaining to her. Probably the only advantage I see the person that had that would be the person that was already doing the job. But other than that, I probably shouldn't have said it.
I think with the committee, it's just a recommendation. The full of the board has got to vote.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chris is going to, Tom's going to abstain. So right here, we can
We
make
have
a
1,
decision
2,
if we want to vote
3, 4.
or if we want to hold up. But bottom line, we got the final say. That's like with any advisory board or committee. The full board still got the rights to do what they need to do.
Well, I'll tell you where I stand right now is, I've heard some comments from people who were part of that committee that, you know, I walked in here tonight, I wasn't prepared to hear those comments, because I did not hear those at the meeting, and I didn't hear those after the meeting, so I'm kind of like crossing the icy river right now. I'm not sure, I'm a little befuddled because I'm hearing things that didn't come up in the interview process that's kind of taking me two directions. So, I don't know where, at this point, where we need to go.
I made my concern to Greg, made my concern known to Greg before we ever went through the interview process. And Greg assured me that we needed to proceed and that the full board would ensure that there was
You're talking about Greg Jarbo? Okay.
that there was integrity to the process.
Yeah, well,
But, and I had hoped to get out of this with my resignation and no confrontation or negativity, and it hasn't worked out that way.
okay, well, I mean, you're saying what's on your mind, so that's all I can say. I'm not
I appreciate
critiquing over
you.
what you said.
And again, I apologize if I put you on the spot, but I appreciate your honesty and integrity to tell us what happened, because I think by doing that might have maybe made them aware of it so they can make an informed decision. So I think that's maybe what had to happen to do that. If you hadn't spoken your mind and asked us questions, they may not have understood. So I appreciate it. Again, I apologize if I'm sorry. It wasn't
Well,
nice of me.
At this point, I'm not sure where we stand this evening, guys. I don't feel like we need to make a vote at this point, because there seems to be some discrepancies here.
At this point, I'm recusing myself from that because of the comment that she said, that I said, which I did say that because the person was already in the job. But that'd be the only advantage. So I'll recuse myself from the vote tonight.
Well, if that's the case, we would not have a quorum, would we?
You can make the motion to table it till the next meeting, let everybody gather the information.
Let's do that.
Sure.
Because I'm not ready to act, it's only my second meeting, and I'm just got this stuff here. I'm abstaining from it tonight.
That's fine.
I'll make a motion to table to next month, so we have time to do it, and maybe go through it again or something.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I can make this available, all the votes, to anybody that wants them.
Well, let's deal with this motion now. I will second that motion
Okay.
that Paul made. Those in favor signify by voting.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Well, what
And
was the vote?
I'm abstaining still from it.
And I am too.
Yeah.
I am too, yeah.
Oh.
So there's three.
Randy, where do you stand?
We table it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we table it, right? Is that the general consensus?
I think that's the best
So
thing to
put
do.
that on the agenda for the month of March, and we will hopefully come to some kind of an agreement there, where a majority will hopefully have information that we can vote to elect a new director.
I have a question.
Go
Am I
ahead.
supposed to continue on the way I have it? I just want to make sure, because
I
it seems
would-
like there's just so much going on,
I would personally I would hope that you would
Yes.
continue in that
I
position.
just, I'm trying to make sure that
Sure.
I'm good. I'm doing 2 positions
I-
at a time. I want to continue, know if I'm supposed to continue with my.
See nothing
And that
wrong.
was made a few months ago, that you will ask if you would stay there until a director is named. I don't think that's changed.
I feel like there's been a lot said that brings into some character of my own. It brings in a lot of things that,
No, I want to go on record as saying that has absolutely nothing to do with it.
I said that's how I feel. I did not accuse anyone of anything. I'm making that clear. I said, this is how I feel. I went through the process as everyone else did. I don't know what was said. I'm not privy to anything. I have stayed completely out of it. I want to make sure that I'm supposed to continue in the capacity I have been, because tonight has been a little bit chaotic. So I want to continue, because there's people that, as far as our insurance and other things, that expected to know, because I told them what would be today, so that things can be signed, who needs to do this, who needs to do that, because I'm the interim. So I want to know, I'm going to contact them and tell them it won't be known until after March. That's where I'm at. Just want to make sure I'm doing my jobs correctly.
Well, I'm speaking for myself. You have my full support in this position.
I
I
don't
think
want to
unless
step.
there is a motion made to reverse the decision that she acts as interim, then it continues until because it was made that she acts as interim until a permanent replacement is made.
Well, like I said, it's,
Okay, yeah, I just
That
want to
was a
make sure,
motion.
because it just,
Yeah.
tonight's,
I don't think anything that's changed that, my feeling on this.
So we will need to have Greg next week or next month, then if we got 3 abstaining, we'll have to have Greg here to really make a push and vote.
Well, next month I may well be ready to vote. I want to look things over.
But you're still only 3. So
Okay,
right now, we have
right,
3
okay.
abstaining, 3 present, you have to have 4 to have a.
Well, really, as president of our district, I would think it'd be excellent for him to be here and cast a vote, since he is.
But I think
our
apparently work took him out of town, so.
Pardon?
Apparently work took him out of
Yeah.
town. He was unable to attend.
Okay. Well, at this point, do we have a motion to adjourn? No, we have meeting next month. Let's see. 4th Thursday of
24th.
March would be what?
24th?
24th of March.
They'll line up at the council meeting.
Yes.
And that will be at 4 o'clock in this location, is that correct? Right? Okay. And do we have a vote to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion, second?
I'll second that.
Okay, those in favor signify.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed. Okay, gentlemen.
Just back down.
See you next